You find yourself lost in Irvingland. Let's just pick up where we left off last time.
We're gonna crash! We're passing right through it.
Yes, that's what you do with clouds.
Well, switch on the analyzer.
Right, Dad. It's okay, Dr. Smith. We're not gonna crash. You don't have to be afraid.
But he does it so well. Everybody needs to be good at something.
Afraid? I?
It's just cosmic dust, Dad. A big ball of cosmic dust.
Yes, as I explained last time, that's what a nova remnant is, a dust cloud. Since it's the result of a star sloughing off its outer shell, it has very little mass, as opposed to the Jupiter 2, which has loads of mass and thus can pass right through it.
We're coming out of it.
Why are you acting surprised? You could see the whole thing on your screen, so you knew how big it was. Or did you think it was shaped like a noodle and you were going in the near end? After that bit of anticlimax, everybody goes back to whatever they were doing. Smith, of course, was shrieking incoherently.
I've got it! I've got it! I've got it!
Got what?
Our present position and our course for Earth. There's no question about it. The robot has verified my instrument sightings and my calculations. Now I'll just reset the Astrogator and we'll be back on Earth in exactly 4 days, 7 hours, and 43 minutes!
They need to order the robot to pin Smith's arms for 15 minutes every time he tries to touch something.
Our destination is Alpha Centauri, not Earth, Doctor.
Well, we can find Earth thanks to me, and that's exactly where we're going. Ah!
Actually, you're going this way, and that way, and this way, and that way.
Oh, now we're going back to Earth!
I've wanted to do that to my game controller multiple times.
Nothing, or we're all killed!
Smith really should have gone into politics. He's a master of screwing things up and then blaming other people for not fixing them.
Get it open so I can put a jumper cable on it.
Are you sure a jump start is what this thing needs right now? Nevertheless, with a jumper cable somewhere underneath and the handle back in its slot, things get stabilized.
From now on, you stay away from this.
Surely, Major, you don't blame me for this mishap.
Who should I blame?
Why, yourself, of course. If you hadn't been so heavy-handed...
Why, you...
Stand back, sir. I warn you.
I warn you, sir, I shall give you a severe talking to once my jaw is healed, so stand back if you value your ears. Don says, give me that paper.
You mean this? Our position and course for Earth?
For the last time, Smith, our destination is Alpha Centauri.
I see. Then, of course, you will have no further need for this.
Just a minute.
Yes?
If you've plotted our position, I want you to give it to me.
Only if you give me your word, you'll use it to get us back to Earth.
Well, that's blackmail.
1, you've gotten this far without his help. You can find your own position and direction to Alpha Centauri. 2, you've seen how reliable he is. Are you really going to trust his calculations about where you are? John says, if your calculations are correct, then we have a deal. Now, he could say it like this. You have a deal. Give me the data and we'll go back to Earth. Smith tosses him the paper. John says, eventually. First we're going to Alpha Centauri. See how easy that was? But John is more honorable than that. He can't bring himself to manipulate the manipulator. But when he double checks the calculations with the robot, he learns that Smith forgot to mention something.
You forgot to mention the one detail that makes our return to Earth impossible.
I see. You've been talking to that traitorous electronic junk pile.
That's right, Smith, and it's a lucky thing we did, too. Because he told us that right now, at this time of year, the sun is between us and Earth. And we wouldn't have found out until we were caught in the gravitational pull of the sun.
Smith says we can maneuver around the sun. Does he have any idea how huge a maneuver that would have to be? John says, I'm not going to risk it. We're going to Alpha Centauri, not Earth.
You've broken your solemn word of honor, Professor. I warn you, I will not go to Alpha Centauri.
No one says you have to, Smith. Anytime you want, I'll stop the Jupiter 2 and let you off.
Bah!
No, he didn't break his word. He said if your calculations were right. Your calculations, which were really the robot's calculations, would take you straight into the sun and kill everybody. That means they aren't right. So he didn't break his word. You did. You withheld vital information.
Never mind about Dr. Smith, Dad. He'll probably even like Alpha Centauri once we get there. We all will.
If we get there.
Oh, we'll get there all right. The Astrogator's been programmed, and it's well on course.
Then I suggest you post a guard on it because you know Dr. Smith when he gets an idea in his head.
They've locked the Astrogator.
That is a true statement.
Do they think that will stop me?
I guess they do because it's all they did. I told them to post a guard, but they never listened to me.
Do you see this ring?
Magnetic material.
Exactly. Quite capable of deflecting this Astrogator to any course I choose.
If the Astrogator isn't shielded against that sort of thing, I think it counts as a major design flaw. He places his ring just so and the ship quietly changes course.
Attention! Attention! New course requires reprogramming of fuel consumption distance ratios.
But why don't you attend to that little problem, dear boy?
Negative. I have no information on the procedures.
But it shouldn't be too difficult to figure out.
He said you need to make calculations. Maybe you should do that before you start throwing switches.
Let me see.
Yes.
It's all right here. There. And here. Ah, yes, here are some pretty ones. There, you see.
That's right. Stable Genius just dumped all their fuel.
You have dumped the reserve fuel cells. Our whole fuel supply went into space.
Did we need that fuel?
In a few hours, this ship will be out of fuel and helpless.
I wonder how he's going to find a way to blame this on the robot, or on the Robinsons for not keeping an eye on him when they know he's selfish enough to pull something like this. You know it can't possibly be his fault.
Get out of the way, Smith! How bad is it? We have power for 25 hours, no more. We better find someplace to land.
But there's a problem. The Astrogator isn't responding.
How did this ring get here?
I must have absent-mindedly left it there.
Oh, so it altered our course for Earth, huh?
Right, Smith, this time you've had it. I'm gonna take you apart bit by bit and throw the pieces away.
Smith, get below and stay there.
My ring, sir.
But there's not a planet within range, so landing isn't an option. It's time for the convenience ferry to step in.
Here's our present position. On the edge of the Cerberus galaxy.
The what? As I said before, if your destination is Alpha Centauri and you're on the edge of another galaxy, you're even more off course than you thought.
Right. Now, you remember the year before we left? Alpha Control set out a string of fuel barges somewhere in this area.
Yeah, as refueling stations for the Intergalactic Probe 22, wasn't it?
Now, these barges should be somewhere within, 21 hours of our present position.
We might make it.
Yeah, I'll set a new course.
It's true. There's an attendant named Jeb who's been sitting there all this time waiting to pump your gas for you. Be sure to leave him a good tip.
We're picking up something else on the radar. A whole series of blips right around those fuel barges.
Blips? How big?
Oh, about 4 or 6 feet.
About the size of a man, Dad?
That's right, son, but obviously they couldn't be men. There aren't any planets around here.
It's Jeb and his co-workers. They have a full-service garage there, so they can also change your oil while you're waiting. Now, with the technology they have, you'd think they would be able to dock with the barge and get the fuel cells, similar to what they did with the International Space Station in Armageddon. But no, Dawn has to put on a spacesuit and go out and get what they need.
Right now, I'm connecting the fuel line. John, the fuel gauge in this barge reads down a quarter. But there's no indication that any other ship docked here.
Well, that's not possible.
Well, something's been at this fuel supply.
Jeb used some of it to keep warm and cook himself a couple of hot dogs.
Who are you? Who's there?
Don, what's wrong?
I'm okay. I'm coming in now.
He realized it was just Jeb asking for his credit card. Dawn isn't sure he actually saw something moving, and Dr. Smith's babble isn't helping. John confines Dr. Smith to quarters and orders the robot to keep him there.
Oh, hello, Dr. Smith.
Hello, dear child. Where are you off to?
To the control room. Say goodnight to Daddy and Don.
Penny?
And we already know he's not above using an innocent child to do his dirty work. He feeds her a story about how he fell asleep on watch and forgot to set the astrogator, so she needs to do it for him because he's afraid of getting reamed. Being a trusting child, she falls for it. While he was jerking her around, Dr. Smith yanked the robot's power pack. It wants to know what went on while it was deactivated.
It is required that my memory banks be constantly in operation in order for me to record any dangerous scientific phenomena in outer space.
Dangerous scientific phenomena indeed, you blithering booby. What could possibly be out there in all that nothingness?
That. She must have some kind of telepathy since we can hear her singing even though there's no sound in space.
A pretty little thing, all green, with a transparent dome for a hat.
When Don thought he saw something moving out there, Smith pronounced it space rapture. Now he's seeing green girls with clear bowls on their heads. I wonder what he calls that.
I don't even know why I'm wasting time listening to these ravings. Smith, you finally flipped your wig.
I think we should all turn in.
And leave me here all alone?
Well, of course, Dr. Smith, if you're afraid, I'll have someone.
I'm not afraid. Of course I'm not afraid. It's just that I'd like a witness, just in case she comes back.
Predictably, Will offers to stay up with him. He'd like to see this green girl anyway. They're playing chess when she reappears.
It's her. I know what you're thinking. But I tell you, she was there.
It's my move, Dr. Smith.
Turn the table and sit so you both have the viewport in your peripheral vision. But if they did that, we couldn't repeat that gag 2 more times. Will goes to bed, Smith posts the robot to watch the viewport and falls asleep.
Attention, Dr. Smith. Attention, Dr. Smith.
I'm innocent!
At least now the robot can verify that she exists, but he says she does not compute. He's not wrong.
Her language is a mathematical progression. I can translate. She states that she is from the people of the Green Mist. She is in love with you. She wants you to come away with her.
Where was this green mist? We didn't see any.
What is it? What is it? I'm going with you. How dare you?
My orders are to keep you here.
Be still, you dunderhead! Hurry! Hurry!
Can't think about that right now. They've discovered they're headed for Earth again, and the hull temperature is climbing fast.
You know what you've done. Do you realize what's going to happen because you wouldn't listen? Well, take a look. Take a look out there. Do you see that? That's our death warrant.
I don't know what you mean. I don't see anything.
Oh, no? Well, look again. At that flaring star out there.
You mean that flaring star? Yes, I can see it.
It happens to be the sun. Our sun. The sun that Earth orbits. Its temperature is so high you can reduce the hull of this ship to butter, and we're heading straight for it.
Penny confesses that she changed the course, but it's clear Dr. Smith was behind it. If anybody on the ship ever had a smidgen of respect left for Dr. Smith, they just lost it. Using a child. It doesn't get much lower than that. But yeah, welcome home, Dr. Smith. It just happens to be your eternal home, wherever that turns out to be.
And we'll plot a new course, extended to the space-time solution. The best we'll do is a near miss.
Is that going to be good enough?
I don't know. We'll have to cope with temperatures hundreds of degrees higher than normal.
The new course will be toward anywhere but the sun's gravitational pull. Naturally, it works, and they execute a near miss.
There's something I think you should all know. Before Don and I came down, we completed our computations. We decided we have just enough fuel for one course change without endangering our landing. So, now that we're safely past our sun, and since it is closer than Alpha Centauri, we've decided to head for Earth.
They have to make the course correction at exactly 3 minutes to midnight. They have one shot at this with their fuel supply, so it's not a good idea to miss. Everyone heads for bed, but Green Girl is back. She has complete control of his mind. Which way to the green mist?
We should be able to see Earth by now, passing by Uranus and Arcturus.
I remember my friends talking about that line. If they just skimmed the sun and are heading for Earth, they shouldn't be anywhere near Uranus. And since Arcturus is a star, they should be even further from that. Nobody had invented the expression pulled it out of their butts yet. Too bad.
John, do you see?
Yes, I see it.
And he was telling the truth.
That's the thing about people who lie constantly. If they do tell the truth, you have a hard time believing them. And by the way, he took a spacesuit and he's out there with her now, without a tether. Does she realize that he needs oxygen to live? And I doubt there's much of it in the green mist. John calls the whole family to see this.
I have had time to compute this creature and have found that she and her kind feed upon atomic fuel. She has followed us for our fuel supply.
That explains why that fuel supply was short. She and her pals ate it. They eat the atomic fuel. Does that mean the green mist is... Never mind.
Golly, she looks like a kind of fairy princess.
Poor Dr. Smith. It looks like he's been hypnotized.
He thinks he's in love.
In love? You're kidding.
I have not been programmed for humor. She has created this state of mind in order to try to get fuel from us.
She sure didn't have any trouble figuring out which mind was the weakest. And now what do? He's too far from the ship to shoot a line to him, and if they change course to get him, they'll miss Earth.
Well, what would happen if we did change course?
We'd miss Earth entirely. We'd shoot right out the other side of the galaxy.
They don't have enough fuel to turn again and go to Earth, but there's enough fuel to send them hurtling clear across our thousands of light years big galaxy and out the other side. I think he means the solar system, which is a rather different thing.
We'd be lost in space again.
Well, then that's the way it has to be. We've got to save Dr. Smith.
Why? He's caused us nothing but trouble from the beginning. Now, why should we sacrifice everything just for him?
Because he's a human being.
You're sure about that?
I say we go to Earth. Let him stay out there.
For the rest of eternity?
No, just until his air runs out. Then she can spend the rest of eternity playing with his desiccated corpse.
Preparing course deviation of 3 degrees.
Don isn't happy, and you can't blame him. But it won't help matters if she gets on board and eats the fuel supply either. They have several choices, none of them good. We'll take the humanitarian one, however much it hurts.
Well, somebody has to haul him back in.
Here, Judy, put this on.
Dr. Smith! Dr. Smith!
Yes, my darling. He's still asleep. Will shakes him awake and they explain what happened, though they haven't told him about the course change yet. He doesn't remember anything.
Alpha Control to unidentified space vehicle. Do you read us? Over.
It's Earth! They've located us!
John explains, yes, this is the Jupiter 2 and we're in trouble.
We're on auxiliary power. Can you track us?
Only with a radio telescope.
Can you try telemetry?
You are beyond the range of our telemetry. You seem to be passing Earth, departing this galaxy. Can you change heading?
Negative, Alpha Control. Rocket fuel unavailable.
We are losing your signal. You are exiting the galaxy, headed for outer space. Good luck.
Good luck. That's it. Thanks, Alpha Control. They're exiting our 9-planet galaxy. Screw you, it was a planet in 1966, headed for whatever our definition of outer space is. They still haven't told Smith that he's the reason they missed Earth. At the moment, that might be unnecessarily cruel. Let Don do it.
Dad, where are we going now?
We'll know when we get there, son. We'll know when we get there.
They can't even change course for Alpha Centauri because they don't have the fuel. Speaking of fuel, what happened to Smith's girlfriend? Well, as it happens, just as they were exiting the galaxy, they passed a giant plot hole and she was sucked into it. But not to worry, it took her right back to the green mist where she lived happily ever after.
A familiar planet?
More likely an unfamiliar asteroid. Maybe I can get a fix on it.
Jupiter 2? Jupiter 2? This is your space controller. Please prepare for entry into our atmosphere. Your compass heading should now be 85. Repeat, 85.
Of course, Dr. Dimwit insists they went in a circle and are back at Earth, even though the planet ahead looks nothing like Earth. And they may not get there anyway.
Warning! Warning! Periodicity of signal indicates flight path of space vehicle is on collision course with zone of high intensity particulate radiation. Advise immediate evasive action.
That's right. Smith is steering the ship right into a radiation belt. Next week, we'll find out if the radiation mutates him. Knowing our luck, he'll grow another mouth. I'll see you next time you find yourself lost in Irvingland. After that bit of anticlimax, everybody goes back to whatever they were doing. Why am I having trouble talking today? Everybody. After that bit of anticlimax, everybody goes back to whatever it was they were doing. So good grief. After that bit of anticlimax, everybody goes, good grief!